Welcome, everyone, to the Your Energy First podcast. I'm your host, Emily Marie, and it is such a pleasure to have you here to talk about all things your energy. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. It is so good to have you here. Today, we are going to talk about your source. Who is your source? When it comes down to what each of us names whomever our source is, God, universe, spirit, the divine, limitless, Allah, cosmos, expansion, and some people who aren't even sure that they have a source, what really matters is what is the intention. Because what I have come to find over the years is that spirit, so I say, to me, spirit is more the activity of source, and source is that all-loving power, all light that everything stems from. And I'll use a variety of words interchangeably. And what I've noticed over the years, because I see energy with my third eye, which means with my imagination. You maybe do too. If you don't, maybe you have aphantasia and you're heavy on the sensing, feeling, the knowing. And what I've noticed over the years is when people talk about whomever their source is, the energy looks the same. So the connection to whomever it is that they're thinking about for their source could be Jesus, could be Buddha. The intention looks the same. And when I connect with spirit and learn in this lifetime, because that is my path, to learn from spirit and grow so I can share with you folks and we can all learn and grow together and feel a little bit better each day. But what I come to find is that it didn't matter what people, I don't think my grammar was right in that last sentence, but I'm not going to edit it out. I'm not a grammar nerd, unfortunately. But what I've come to find is that it doesn't matter what you call your source. What matters is your intention, which is you are just personally connecting to who you believe your higher power is, and that's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. When it comes to the structure of religion and different beliefs, obviously, that's when things start to get a little bit more complex. But one of the things Spirit has taught me time and again is doesn't really matter. Whoever someone's source is who their source is. And I can tell you, Spirit does not care. Just doesn't care. They don't care. They don't care what you call them, as long as you call them, right? So when I talk to others, I still have many friends who go to church, who communicate with God, communicate with Jesus, and to me, it doesn't look any different from that golden, beautiful light connection than it does someone who says, the universe or source or spirit. Where things get interesting is when we have situations where humans make choices and they use the excuse that whomever their source is told them to do it. Now, in my personal experience, I have no doubt that those people did hear voices. Were they voices of the Lord? I don't think so. Were they voices that said they were the Lord? I do believe that they did. Because there's a lot of energies out there. There's such a variety of energies in our universe, in our galaxy, in our realm, crossing over with other realms. And it's important for each of us to remember our connection to source, that we have it at all times. It's funny, they're bringing me to this point in my body right now, and it's almost like we don't even want to call it a connection. I've been calling it a connection because they're saying it just is. It's a power within each of us that exists at all times. And that is this connection to each of our own higher power that every single living being has in this world. No exceptions. There are no exceptions. When we see really dark energies or negative things happen, that is one of two things. Either an entity can be any range of the light or of the dark, But in this case, we're talking about a dark energy. When they make a decision that is not of the light, they can actually turn themselves off from source. Can you believe that? But there's actually energy out there. Well, I mean, we all could if we wanted to, but there's actually energy out there that's chosen to turn themselves away from source time and again. And that's really, really rough for those of us on the earth plane who have to be a part of their experience. And for those of us who feel to the depths of our heart and core when people do negative things, it's really hard. And sometimes they do those negative things because they are definitely younger energies who are learning. The earth is definitely one of many areas where our soul goes to have experiences and different types of experiences that give us discernment, that give us feelings of this is good, this is bad. And that is a really, really tough concept. Even for me, I know it to be true, and it's still rough. But every soul that comes from source, hang on, I'm checking right now. I'm like, is this true? Does every soul that comes from source, I'm asking my guides and my spirit team, does every soul that comes from source go through in some way in all of the galaxies that exist in all of the universe and all of the different realms? Do all energies go through good and bad? No, they don't. Let me see here. It's very, very few that don't. Basically, Source had to put some parameters out there, some other like beings of light to help be a guide. Like they're showing me guideposts for basically the 99.999% of everything and everybody else who has to go through the spectrum of learning. And that spectrum of learning is how we know the difference between what's good and what's bad. So we've all experienced multiple lifetimes where we've had experiences of both good and bad. And in this lifetime, if you're here, you're likely thinking, well, I'm here to heal and focus mostly on the good. I concur with you. And the other aspect that I wanted to share today, because that was kind of a big one we just went through. I mean, that was a lot of information. We're just going to take a deep breath. Another deep breath and just kind of let it out, shake it out, shake out that energy. Feel into the goodness that is at the core of you, into that light that is your alignment with your source, your higher power. And now I want to touch on one other subject, which is that everything is a derivative of source. And if you were to imagine a spectrum of energy, if you cannot imagine, if you were to look somewhere right now where you could see a line or something, and imagine at one end of this line or one end of this spectrum is source energy. That which is all love and all light, and which everything comes from. Everything is essentially born of source. And what happens is, imagine you start to slowly go down this line, and this line is really, really bright because it's from source. So we have this really, really bright energy as we start to go down the line, and in this realm of bright energy is where things like angels, archangels, specialists of the light, healed ancestors of the light, different energies that actually are in our realm supporting us in a variety of ways. There is actually goddess and god energy from other scopes of the world, other religions that do have an energy that come through and help a lot of us on this earth plane, which is really beautiful. And which is kind of ironic because I know earlier we had talked about maybe God is who your source is. And then of course in other religions, there's multiple gods and goddesses. So keeping in mind that all of this is very fluid. And now I'm asking the guides, I'm like, because this question has not come up before. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, but if other religions believe that there's multiple gods and goddesses and that's their source, yeah, the guides just say the intentions. They're like, it's all about the intention. So your intention is that you're connecting with, say, the divine, right? You're connecting with all that is love, all that is light. So you start to go down this spectrum, and as you go down this spectrum, maybe we start to get specialists of the light, we get spirit animals, we get spirit guides, and you start to go down this line, and it starts to get a little bit darker, maybe a little bit gray, and a little bit darker and a little bit darker, and this is where darker energies are. And things like ghosts, other things we've heard before, demons, all of that kind of stuff. And you start to go down the line and it gets so dark that there's actually entities that have completely shut themselves off from the light. Now, humans kind of hang out somewhere in the middle, meaning we are a combination of both the shadow and the light. And most of us are here working on, hey, how do I get more towards that light? How do I heal the shadow within me? How do I heal old negative habits, old thought patterns? Past life stuff comes up quite a bit in our current life to be resolved. It does not mean that we have to deep dive into past life work. We don't. It shows up for us naturally in this current life. Don't worry. So you do not have to do past life healing specifically in order to heal past lives, although I do know plenty of people who are called to past life work and it works beautifully for them, and that's amazing. Do you? So that's what humans do. Humans kind of hang out on the middle of the spectrum, working our way up more towards the light. Now, the good news is there is no exact equal to source on the negative side. So there's no devil, no dark source, nothing like that. But everything is a derivative of source. And so when you and I are out in the world and we come across any kind of energy, think about this. When you run into someone at the grocery store, when you walk into a new space, a home, someone else's home, even when we're in nature, you and I naturally have a discernment. We can feel when something feels really good. We can feel when something is like, gosh, something just feels off about this. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. That is your energy telling you, giving you information that essentially on the spectrum, this is what you need to know. This energy is on the spectrum of probably not the best for you. Whereas I have seen in my time a variety of different entities of the light, entities of the dark, and I could tell how good or how bad they were based on how bright or how dark they were. So what we want to pay attention to personally is, how do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? That is the number one gut intuition instinct that everyone has. And it's built into all of us. And that's part of what makes you so powerful, is that you have this built-in radar. The guys are joking. They're calling it like a built-in BS detector. You have a built-in energy BS detector. But that's why you meet someone, you say you're at a party and everyone's like, oh, we love this person, they're so great. And you're kind of like, yeah, something's off. I don't know what it is. That person's not for me. And that's okay. Or other people are, you walk into a physical space and it just feels really, really good and you don't know why and you can't put your finger on it, but you think this is a good spot, or I'll be back here again. I'll be happy to visit here again. Or maybe if you're looking for a home or an apartment to rent, you're like, yes, this is a spot for me. Your energy knows, and your energy is aligning with this spectrum. Your energy is involved in this spectrum, and your energy says, hey, I'm turned towards my source. I'm turned towards healing myself and being more in the light. And I happen to know through my senses, through my feeling, what doesn't feel good and what does, especially when it comes to your own personal choices. It's funny because when you think about how everything that exists in the earth, for example, on the earth, in our realm, in other realms that are overlapping with our realm, other timelines that we're living right now, other galaxies far, far away, or maybe some that are not so far away. Who knows? I don't, but it wouldn't surprise me. But between all of this energy that exists in all of space and time, the fact that it all comes from source and we are all essentially on this spectrum of energy, it also means we have access to all of this energy. And that's why it's all connected. And when people say, oh, we're all connected, we truly are, because everything and everyone is truly a derivative of spirit, of God, of the universe. And that is what makes all of us connected. We are all on this spectrum together. It's wild. It is really wild. And it's also what makes you so powerful, that you actually can tap into any element of energy on this spectrum. You can. Now, do you want to? No. Do I want to? Absolutely not. I don't even tap into someone's energy I've just met, because don't worry, energy will show you right away what it is. Then you discern. So how do we connect with all of this energy on the spectrum in a way that serves you and is also for the highest good of all involved, which is critical that we have that intention when working with energy, because one of the universal laws of energy is that when you act with integrity with energy, it expands. So the more integrity you have with your intention around you working with energy, your skill set around energy will develop and expand for you. You will have more abilities. People like to call it gifts. It's not gifts, it's a skill set. It's a skill set that everybody has on this earth plane, hence why we're all on this beautiful spectrum. So that is what we're going to talk about in this next episode, is how do you connect with the energy you need to connect with and forget about the rest and leave the rest behind and keep your energy feeling good and clear and strong, so that when you do bump up against an energy that doesn't feel good, you know what to do. And so that when you do want to tap in to something for the highest good of all involved, how do you do that? So we're going to talk about the baseline for those things in the next episode. In the meantime, you can find me online at emilymarie.com. I'm on Instagram and TikTok at emilymarie.energy. Please feel free to share this with somebody that you know and rate us and leave a review. I would be so grateful for that. And I hope you get exactly what you need today and more. May good surprises find you.